So despite all of what we've just said for Liverpool, the disallow, the goal that was not given, the 2 red cards.
Yes.
They were seconds away from getting a draw away at Spurs, who are maybe the most informed team in the Premier League right now.
Yep.
Still unbeaten. Great result against big teams. Great result against smaller teams. We will talk about Spurs after and how good they've been so far. But just on Liverpool, was that impressive that 10 against 11 and then 9 against 11, they still managed to see the game out almost? And I will have your opinion on the Matip.
Yeah.
I know you've never scored an own goal like that. But I thought, at that level, he should sort out his feet much quicker. And I know he's tired and all of that. But let's talk about the Matip on goal later.
Okay.
But first, were you kind of impressed, if we can use that word, about what Liverpool did on Saturday?
Do you know what? I was impressed, but I wasn't surprised as such. And I think it's because of the fact that, that team's got some real good players in it. They're very well organised. They've got a manager on the sideline that doesn't panic. And they have a style of play which can be adapted depending on a situation. And I thought what was brilliant to start with, they go down to 10 players, so you pop Salah through the middle. My friend, Liverpool with 10 players and Salah through the middle is terrifying. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Especially when you see Alisson get the ball, next thing, bang, Salah's making a burst down the side.
Yeah.
You saw when he got booked, I don't even think that was a foul that they gave,
No,
you know
I
what
agree.
I mean? But they still have that attacking threat, and they've got the understanding, the midfield 3 or 4, whatever it was. It's you go, I drop in. It's like this piston idea, 1 up, 1 back.
Yeah.
So much order, structure, organisation, and stuff like this. And I think that's one of those misconceptions because, obviously, to give Liverpool credit, but from the outside, the perception is as soon as the team goes down to 10, it becomes easier for the other side. I think it only becomes easier if the team that goes down to 10 is already behind, because then they have to be more open to try and find something.
Yeah.
But when they've got something that they could potentially hold on to as such, it's tough because you're still trying to break down the same number of players, except now a bigger factor in their mind might be just for them to defend as opposed to them defend and attack.
Yeah.
So I thought Liverpool in their structure with 10 were great. Then they go down to 9. And I'll be honest, one of my favourite subs of all time, and this might seem wild, and I apologise to anyone if they don't understand where I'm coming from, was bringing on Alexander-Arnold. And
but even he looked surprised on the bench. On the bench, he even looked like, what, me on here now?
But so it was Alexander-Arnold, and was it Konate as well?
Yeah.
And the next thing, they've got 2 set pieces. Alexander-Arnold's on the ball. And at the back post, you've got Konate, Matip, Van Dijk. I was like, yo. They've gone defensive and attacking at the same time.
No.
And fair play to them because obviously Alexander-Arnold defensively isn't necessarily the best from that. But they still had a threat even with 9.
Yeah.
And there won't be many teams who will ever have that in our lives watching football, I don't think.
True. You will know better than I do. But I think teams work on being down to 10.
Yeah.
So you work on your shape. It's usually it's a 4-4-1 usually what you do. I don't think anybody would work with 9 men, right?
No.
For a certain amount of team, because what Liverpool did really was a 5-3 pretty much, or the 4-4, but they were very narrow to stop everybody and then letting the ball go wide and then being there when the crosses arrived.
Yeah.
Which in the end cost them.
Yeah.
But really, that's the only option they had, right?
Yeah, that's right. And to be fair, you don't work on having 9 players, but what you do sometimes is you have a back 4 and say 2 6s, and you go and defend against an 8 or whatever.
Yeah, true.
And that sort of instills the idea of the fundamentals, how you show them wide, you protect the middle, you stay compact. Because ultimately, the goal doesn't move. The goal is always in the same position. If you're going to play a numbers game, you'd rather have all your players centrally as opposed to have them stretched out.
Yeah.
So it was impressive from that standpoint. And even when they just had 3 in midfield for a section, the fact it was they were shuffling across so well. You could say, Spurs, just move the ball quicker. You can move the ball quicker, but you're still not going to draw out that many players because of how well drilled they were. So it was very impressive, but is it time to talk about the own goal yet?
We will be. Just lastly on Liverpool, I love Szoboszlai, and I think Szoboszlai is going to be a wonderful player for them. I think he's been great already since arriving, playing in that position. The number 8, Steven Gerrard, all the comparison that people are making, the goal in the League Cup, the Thunderbolt, all of that, great. He lost some really key balls. He missed some key passes in the game on Saturday. Some balls that you don't expect someone, and I think pretty much every one of them went on to give something to Spurs, either a chance or a goal, even if not directly, as in you lose the ball and then the guy scores, but you lose the ball and then after 3 passes they score, something like that. And for him to be at that kind of the level we're talking consistently, as in one of the top midfielders, number 8 in the world, he will have to scrap that off his game, because I thought at times he was maybe too complacent, and that cost them, because in a game like this against this Spurs team that goes so quickly forward, and we will give them a lot of love later, you can't lose the ball in the middle of the park, either by a poor pass from me to you that intercepted, or in a duel where I lose the ball because I try to do like a little turn or a little hook or something like that. It was not good enough. I love him. It's not a heavy criticism of him, but I just thought that was really reckless at times from him.
I think that is fair, and also it just highlights again that some of these players are so good, but this isn't their finished product, because he's still a young player, isn't he?
Completely. Yeah, very young. That's very true.
Understanding these moments and these errors that you can make and the impact that he can have on a game, on a season, on a career, I'm sure going forward, he'll handle that in a better way.
So Matip,
he was having a great game, by the way.
He was having a great game.
Great game.
For people who haven't seen the ball goes wide onto the right. Porro hits this cross for nobody, really. Just across the goal.
Skids up
across the goal.
Skids off the turf a little bit.
And Matip can't sort out his feet, and the ball kind of bounces off the leg, goes into the goal.
They can't sort out your feet thing. So as I've noticed more as I was getting older, in terms of understanding the game itself, when you really look at the way fundamentals go out the window as the game progresses.
Because you're tired.
Okay. Like, you don't realise that you're doing it, but your positioning is not the same.
Yeah.
The way you try and go for tackles, it's a bit slower, it's a bit sloppier. This is why people coming off the bench can have such a big impact towards the game sometimes. Because realistically, like, if someone's got a feel for the game, they should be dominant, but it tends to go the other way. And he was... himself and Van Dijk were in the right place for probably 90% of the crosses that they had to deal with throughout that game. Yeah. Whether it was to be with the man or to be in the space. But sometimes if you're half a yard short in terms of being in the right space, then you're half a yard off the position you need to be in to be able to clear a ball properly in terms of how it comes in. And the technique's horrible. It's skidded off him. It's a devastating blow and a devastating moment that comes from poor technique that would only probably happen in the last minute of a game that's gone on for so long.
That's where you see those.
And, I hate that. I feel bad for him. Obviously, it's the nature of football. Spurs, you'll take it, They probably deserve more. But this is one of those drills within football which gets no credit, but is hugely important, is done, whereby the best do it a certain way. I think John Terry's and other people used to do it. You'd just be dealing with low crosses, learning how to kick it off your shin, off your foot, but always high and wide. Always high and wide. And before that moment, they were doing it so well.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of football, isn't it?
So my issue is, I don't know if you saw the Sergio Ramos on goal for Sevilla against Barcelona, where he was facing his own goal because the cross had gone the far post.
Yeah.
Lamine Yamal heads the ball towards him and he's facing his own goal. It bounces off his leg, it goes into the goal.
Yeah.
My issue with Matip is he's not like running back towards his goal when the cross is coming. He's in a position where he has been in that position for the last 5 minutes because they've been so deep, as we said, so narrow to protect that goal. So I struggle to understand how he knows the cross is coming from Porro. He knows the ball is going to go to Porro and Porro is going to cross it because they've done 1,000 crosses in the last 5 minutes, Tottenham.
Yeah.
And yet this is where I struggle.
Uh-oh. You sound like an attacker here, but carry on.
No, but it is. Because I'm thinking, okay, I see everything. Matip sees everything where he is from, including the cross, and yet he can't deal with it, as in like...
I know.
That's the only thing.
Do you know how hard...
Maybe you're right.
I'm trying so hard to defend
him. I know you are.
So hard. Because he was doing so well before that point. But this is it. Not every time, but if a defender miscues something, especially in that sort of zone, that's when you're in trouble. Because say the ball from Porro, if it was 1 yard to Matip's left, then before you know it, it's in the danger zone. If it was 1 yard to Matip's right, maybe it's cut back from someone.
Yeah.
And Matip in that moment probably thought he was in the best position to be able to deal with it. But was he set? Was he set and able to be able to kick it? It's like, example, comparables like playing tennis or something. Those guys, when they're hitting the best shots, it's because they're set and ready to go. Yeah. But when you're just chasing, before you know it, it can go absolutely anywhere. Yeah, because
you're on balance and everything. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's a shame for him because he didn't seem to me to... Like, them drawing that game is a great result. And I think it would have shown how good a team they are.
Yeah.
Because I would say most teams I've seen in my life couldn't go down to 9 against a side as good as Spurs in that arena and been as comfortable as they were.
So we agree that Liverpool would be really high in the table at the end of the season, right?
100%, yeah. I've got them top 3, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think they can. I think they will compete for the title towards pushing City a long way.